de l'autorité du Mao de
Well, kia ora from Rarotonga, Cook Islands. This is Pastor Tewai Matapo, commonly known as Pastor Bobby, and this is my dear wife Poko. I was born in 1947. That seems a long time ago. And then I traveled to New Zealand to attend school in New Zealand for 5 years. And from there I studied meteorology, that's the weather, and worked as a weatherman for 4 or 5 years. And from there I transferred into the police department in 1971. And I served in the police department of the Cook Islands for almost 30 years. And part of that time, of course, I would serve in the New Zealand Police as well. My last 7 years in the police was as a commissioner or chief of police for the Cook Islands. Of course, when you are in the police department, you need to continue studying, and that is when I was introduced to university studies. And my wife and I went to Auckland in New Zealand and studied at Auckland University for 2 years. After completing that, we came back to the Cook Islands, and as we progressed through our career, we continued to study by distance education through the University of the South Pacific. And in our late stage in our career, we both studied for bachelor's degree, and after we completed our careers, we both took on the MBA, Masters in Business Administration Studies, through the University of the Pacific, South Pacific rather. And so we have been students all our lives. We have not been Christians all our lives, but we were in our early 30s when we heard about the gospel. I was age 32 at the time when I gave my life to Jesus. We're pastoring 2 churches. I pastor one church and she pastors another church. So on Sundays we don't normally see each other in the morning because we are both preaching in different churches. We are at the wharf where the Kaksikala and Kari used to berth. Now, coming back to the vision that Kari had about Christian boats doing mission work in the South Pacific especially. I think that's an excellent vision, and I think it's a God-given vision, but I think it's so big. It could happen at any time. It could happen within a short period of time, but as we know, it hasn't happened. But it could happen any time. Simply for the fact that in the Pacific Islands, you have so many small island states scattered around the Pacific. And of course, in these island states, they have many islands, populated islands, in each of the states. And sometimes they are unreachable by aircraft and so on. So this is where the boat missions can be useful. I mean, we've dreamt about it for almost 20 years now. And it is a difficult vision. One man cannot achieve it, 2 men cannot achieve it, 1 country cannot achieve it. And I think Kari had the right perception where he sees Christian boats from different parts of the world able to be resourced to do the job. Now, admittedly, maybe the people in Europe or the United States of America do not appreciate the vastness of the Pacific Ocean and the scattered nature of the islands. So it requires a good infrastructure behind such a mission. You're talking about boats, seaworthy boats, going out to the Pacific Islands and are able to do perhaps 8 months, a year of mission work, and then you've got the cyclone season to deal with. In those situations, you've got to find a safe harbor. And certainly, of course, here in Rarotonga and in the Cook Islands, there's not many safe harbors. This one is not safe during the cyclone season because, as you can see, it opens right into the open sea. But we do have a harbor over here on the island of Penryn. It's an atoll about 780 miles north of Rarotonga. It's hardly ever touched by cyclones. It's a safe harbor during the cyclone season. And as far as Kari was concerned, that would have been an ideal location or a safety harbor for those mission boats that are operating in the Pacific. By berthing up there during the cyclone season, then you don't have to take the boat back to America or to Europe, wherever they came from, which can be costly. I know there are people who would say they will move by faith and they are excited about it, but faith without works, in a sense, comes to nothing. So anything can happen if you just move by faith and you don't have the structure behind it, because God wants us to use our brains to plan ahead and to foresee any unforeseeable circumstance that could happen, and we should be able to deal with that. So that is there's a lot of issues that needs to be looked at closely, and that this is where communication becomes very important. Communication between the islands and the Christian Boats Association in America or in Europe. There has to be up-to-date, ongoing, clear communication so that everybody is on the same wavelength. If you've watched extreme sports, that's what this kind of mission work is about, because it's not just going onto the land and preaching the gospel and so on, but you've got to deal with the seas, and sometimes the seas in the Pacific are very, very rough, and that's why I say, it's kind of comparable to extreme sports for those who will be involved. I can say that with all sincerity, it will not be a holiday. It'll be work, and it'll be hard work. But the challenge is, do we have the willingness to face that challenge and bring glory and honor to Jesus Christ?